Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Today I want to talk about Exiled in the Philippines. A lot of people that come over here, they kind of like self-exiled over here, either because of family issues, monetary issues. It could be issues that people have done them wrong. They just don't want to be in the same area as them, or maybe they did somebody wrong and they don't want to be in the same area to keep on hurting the same people. Maybe it was a family member, maybe it was a bunch of family members or what have you. And I've seen that before too. But I want to touch on this a little bit because sometimes when you go someplace, it's almost like being exiled. And I'll tell you why. I was sitting here today and I was thinking, wow, if I ever want to go back to the United States right now to visit my sister or something like that, even with the SRRV, it's almost impossible for me to come back right now because of they're only letting so many people back in. You have to write these letters. You have to jump through all these different hoops. It's not easy to get back in. And for the people that are on tourist visas, once they leave, boom, guess what? They're done. And for some of these tourists, I'm not sure how that's working out with the rule that you have to leave every so many years. Because if they're bumping up against that, are they getting allowed to stay here? And if if they have to leave, they can't come back in again. And I'm not sure how that's working. I haven't heard anything from anybody about that at all. I haven't heard anything from any of the vloggers out there, or anybody that's bumping that time when they got to leave. I did hear from one person who said that the VI is letting it slide for now. They're being pretty understanding about it because of all this mess that's currently going on. But I haven't been able to verify that, 100%. But there are people here, man, that, they really are exiled. And I think it's because of bad choices, we'll say. I'm seeing a lot more expats here as I get to know more expats here, and I hear from expats every day here. And a lot of them are telling me their income stories and stuff like that, how they came over here 10, 15 years ago or what have you, and they come over with such and such an amount of money, and it was a great amount of money to live on over here, and they thought that the cola raises and all that stuff would keep up. And I don't want to harp on this too much, but this does play into what I'm talking about. And now they don't even have the money to really go home. And a lot of these older guys also have told me that they've already gone through their emergency money since living over here because it wasn't enough. And that's not good, because anything happens now, you're kind of at the end of your wick, It's done. You go to a hospital, you ain't leaving, until you pay that bill. And how are you going to get that bill paid with no emergency money unless you negotiate with the hospital to leave and make payments to them? And it just starts getting really sticky. So you're kind of like self-exiled, in your own way. But a lot of these people that I talk to also are in really remote areas, some of these older guys. And one of them was telling me that he suffers from boredom and loneliness. And I was like, wow, boredom and loneliness. And I was thinking about his situation. And what he told me was he lives in a really remote area. He uses his phone as his only way to get out to people and to reach out to people through data. He has data in a certain part of his property. And he has to walk over to that certain part of the property, and he put a chair over there so he could reach out to people in the world to talk to them on his phone. And that's the only way he can reach out. And this guy's an older gentleman. It's just kind of sad to hear stuff like that when you hear that. And this guy was also telling me that he can't really go far because his money has run out. He just doesn't get that much money like he used to. And he says once a year he goes up to the embassy and he checks in with Social Security and does some stuff up there occasionally, and he does like doctor's appointments and stuff once a year, and then he goes back to his home. He saves for that, but he doesn't have the money to fly home anymore like he used to. And that's just basically a done deal. He can't do that anymore. So he can't go back and visit his family now because of lack of money, lack of funds. Now, that is a form of kind of exile too. But one of the guys I met over here, he self-exiled himself from his family because he had done something so wrong to his family. And I talked about this gentleman before. He he had done something to his family that was really messed up, and he knew he had did wrong, but he was living the way he wanted to live life, and his family disagreed with the way he lived, and it was understandably so if you heard the story. But he kind of separated himself from them and come over here, and he really couldn't go back to that. It was kind of a sad story hearing his story, and he was a really close friend of mine too, and it was kind of sad hearing that, and it's not just him that lives that story though. It's a lot of other people over here that also have that story. I talked to another gentleman that I helped before, and he was kind of the same situation. He, in no way, shape, or form, wanted to go back to the U.S. And he wouldn't talk too much about it, but I kind of got the impression that he had messed up back in the States with his family and just didn't want to go back. He had told me that nobody in his family talked to him anymore, and when I asked him, I says, like, what happened? He didn't really want to get into the details, but you could surmise from what happened that it was kind of like his fault, you know. Now, we all have those situations. My situation is I wanted to get away from my family because of things that they did to me in some cases. And there are people in my family that I'm okay with, you know, and I get along and I still talk to them, you know, and they know who they are. But there was people that I wanted to kind of exile myself away from because I just didn't want to be around them because they were continually hurting me. You know, and a lot of expats have that. I notice we all have that. I think it's just something in the world today that really, you know, bites at our rear end, you know, and just keeps on biting us in the rear end. Finally, we say we're sick of it and we up and we leave. You know, we've talked about all this stuff with people going through divorces and stuff like that. After a while, you know, you don't even want to live in the same town or the same area because you keep running into these people and it just keeps bringing up bad memories. So for those of us who wanted to get away, we just come over here and say, the heck with it, I'm done with it, you know. And yeah, that's a form of self-exile. But self-exile doesn't have to be a bad thing. For me, it's been a good thing. I mean, right now with this mess going on right now, yeah, it's hard for me to go home if I want to go visit. Not that I really want to go home and visit right now. I would like to visit my sister sometime in the future, and hopefully this thing ends at some point, but it doesn't seem like it's moving very fast over here because we are in a developing country and things are slow. I mean, I don't even think we're up to 2% over here as far as vaccines. You know, I really don't think we're up to 2%. I haven't checked the latest results on that, but as of today, I really doubt that. Last I checked was like about 3 weeks ago, I think, or 4 weeks ago, and they were at 0.7%. So I seriously doubt that we're even that much above that, you know. But, I mean, with the way the world is today, there's a lot of exiled people right now. They can't travel. They can't move about, depending on where you are in the world. And some people can't go back to their homes. Some OFW workers, they're exiled. They can't even go back to their own country, you know, and a lot of them, you know. Some countries are blocking out their own people because they're worried that they're going to bring in something from that country, and they're blocking people from those countries. You know, like I think the UK blocked out like 4 countries that you weren't allowed to go in there, but you could possibly leave and go back there, but you couldn't come in from those countries, like if you wanted to visit a relative or something like that. So I think in the world today, a good chunk of the world is really exiled. You know, we really are. When you think about it, it's kind of scary. I mean, today I was thinking, I feel like kind of like a man without a country, or the Count of Monte Cristo or whatever it was, and you know he went to that prison there and they had him locked up for a long time or whatever. I kind of feel like that sometimes. I mean, today I was thinking, I said, wow, we're on this ECQ, and they just extended it by 2 weeks, and it feels like 2 weeks seems like forever. When you're sitting in a house just rotting away, there's nothing to do. There's no, you know, you watch all the movies you want to watch, and there's just really nothing to do. So like, you're exiled in your own house, by, you know, not by choice either. I mean, I can go for a walk. I got to wear a mask. I got to wear a shield. If I take my mask off, I'm gonna, you know, you can get prison time for it and stuff like that. If you get caught on your second offense, and there's fines, you know, And it's like, when is this going to end? You know, I mean, I think everybody wants to kind of move past that exile feeling or whatever. And not all exiles are bad. Some of us, when we self-exile for good reason, it's a good thing. And in my case, it's been a very good thing to have my freedoms over here. And I wish people would make better choices and you know, from my past, and you know, forgiveness goes a long way. You know, but I don't feel like I've done some things to people that I've been accused of in the past, and they won't let it go. You know, and a lot of other expats over here have told me stories, the same thing regarding their kids. You know, and also not just their kids, but nieces, nephews, sisters, brothers, uncles, you know, things like that. You know, it's too much for some people sometimes. But anyway, guys, I just want to talk a little bit about that. I found it interesting. And, you know, if you feel that way, leave it in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, because it is kind of an interesting subject, because the world is quickly changing, man. And a lot of people are getting sick of it, and they're just saying, I'm out of here. I'm done with this. And that's self-exile. You know, it really is. I know people that have moved away and gone the nomadic movement, or bought log cabins and, you know, gone up into the hills and just got away from their family that way. And that's a good way to get away too. It's kind of interesting when people do that, actually. You know, because living up in a cabin is not, it can be very lonely up there, but can also be kind of like a feeling of being free and getting away. And when I lived in my cabin, I lived there for a whole year. It did get boring and lonesome sometime, you know, but I had friends come up and visit me sometimes. But sometimes, you know, when you're off the radar for a while, people forget about you. You know, and that was the part that I didn't like about, you know, living in a log cabin and being exiled, you know, up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. But anyway, guys, I just thought I'd, you know, throw that out there. I thought it was something interesting. And I know a lot of expats over here, when they left a lot of crap behind. You know, and I know a lot of other people out there that are getting ready to come over here are also doing that. But before you come over here, man, make sure you run everything through your brain, you know, so that you know what you're doing is right. You know, because this life over here is not for everybody. It was for me, but it's not for everybody. I mean, you can talk to some of these expats over here yourself, and you'll find out that it's very true what I say. You know, that they're not happy over here. You know, and some of them want to go back, and some don't have that choice anymore because they don't have enough money. And even if they took out a repatriation loan, if they went back to the States, they'd basically be homeless or what have you. You know. But anyway, guys, God bless. I hope you enjoyed today's show, guys. Take care.